This past week, Donald Trump decided to pick a fight that honestly he has absolutely no hope of winning. And it all started with Fox News. In fact, it was Fox News contributor / longtime Republican strategist Carl Rove. You see, Carl Rove pointed out that Donald Trump's 90-minute SeaPak speech last Sunday was full of nothing. It was, just as I had described it, Carl Rove used the same language, just a recap of Donald Trump's greatest hits. The election was stolen. Democrats are evil, yada, yada, yada. The same thing he's been saying for 5 years that no longer really resonates with people, and it was completely devoid of actual substance or any kind of policy position. Rove pointed that out on Fox News. So later in the week, Donald Trump, still fuming from this, sends an official letter to Fox News demanding that they fire Carl Rove, and Trump repeatedly referring to Carl Rove as a loser, a guy that doesn't win anything. Except, of course, the campaigns that he has won in the past that make most of these Democratic strategists look like rookies. I don't want to defend Carl Rove. He is an absolute despicable human being on the same level as the idiotic Koch brothers, or brother now. He's a horrible human being. But a loser he is not. As I pointed out on Ring of Fire earlier this week too, Carl Rove took an absolute bumbling buffoon in George W. Bush, got him elected twice. That's not an easy feat. And in fact, when Donald Trump was struggling with his 2020 campaign, who did he call in? He didn't call for Jared Kushner. He didn't call for Brad Parscale. He said, "Get me Rove." But at the point when Carl Rove came in, the damage had been done. And the damage was his mishandling of the entire pandemic. There was nothing Rove could have done to fix the damage that Trump had done to himself. But Trump blames Rove, among many, many other people, for his election loss, so he's saying he's a loser. Well, Carl Rove, after Trump sent his official letter, fires back in a very calm manner with a statement, and he says, "I've been called a lot of things in my career, but never a rhino. I've voted for every Republican presidential candidate since I turned 18 and have labored only for GOP Republican candidates since then. I have a different recollection of Mr. Trump's views on 5G and our conversation election night. I'll continue to use my whiteboard and voice to call balls and strikes." Here is why Donald Trump cannot hope to win this fight against Carl Rove. Carl Rove has been involved in Republican politics since long before Donald Trump ever even thought about entering politics. Carl Rove has been a major player in the Republican Party for over 40 years. He knows the ins and outs, but more importantly, he knows all the people. He knows all the players. He knows all the donors. Carl Rove himself is the Republican establishment. And he knows how to win. And again, to his credit for being a terrible human being, he is good at what he does. Now, what he does is really horrible, but he's good at being horrible. Trump, on the other hand, sucks. He sucks at politics. Oh, sure, he managed to dupe a lot of, dimwits into becoming his cult-like followers and handing over a ton of money. Sure, wonderful. But you never won the popular vote. You crashed and burned in 2020 every single time you were put up to a political test throughout your administration. You failed. So why are you calling this dude a loser? You're the loser. And you're not going to win this fight. Because when you take on Carl Rove, you're not just taking on an individual. You're not taking on a 70-year-old man. You're taking on the entirety of the Republican establishment. You are taking on all the donors. You are taking on all of the major players from the last 40 years. And I know, Trump, you think that that is what you want to do, but let me tell you here, bud. You have a horrible track record of winning these fights. Carl Rove, on the other hand, does not. You want to be the kingmaker? Carl Rove is the kingmaker. So you may want to think twice and just let this one slide, because I can promise you, Rove has the full weight of the Republican establishment behind him, and they aren't afraid of you.